وقت سفر یاد کرد به ودایی دل غم دیده ما شاد نکرد دل به امید صدایی که مگر در تو رسد ناله ها کرد در این کوه که فرهاد نکرد. یاد بادم که ز ما وقت سفر یاد نکرد به ودایی دل غم دیده ما شاد نکرد دل به امید صدایی که مگر در تو رسد ناله ها کرد در این کوه که فرهاد نکرد. مطربا پرده بگردان و بزن راه عراق مطربا پرده بگردان و بزن راه عراق که بدین راه بشد که بدین راه بشد.
Hello everybody, good afternoon. Sorry, I'm trying to sort my light out. It looks so dark today somehow, I don't know why. Ah, I know why. Maybe. No, not that one, that one. What happened to Kamyab? He disappeared. Right, I'm terribly sorry about that. Let's get going everyone, shall we? That music that you were listening to, by the way, was the very beautiful music of, oh, he's back, of Kamyab Saderi, and it is called Yad Bad, and he has created music to a poem by Hafez. So that was Kamyab Saderi, everybody. I'm going to turn him down. Okay. A poem or two by Rumi. The allure of love. Someone who does not run toward the allure of love walks a road where nothing lives. But this dove here senses the love hawk floating above and waits and will not be driven away or scared to safety. Sky circles. The way of love is not a subtle argument. The door there is devastation. Birds make great sky circles of their freedom. How do they learn that? They fall, and falling, they're given wings. So, we are approaching the 500th night, everybody, and I might actually get the honour to read it tonight. Let's see, or I'll give that honour to Saman tomorrow. Now, when it was the 497th night, she said, It has reached me, O auspicious king, that the angel said to Bulukiya when describing the serpent, and were it not for fear of the Most Highest, this serpent would assuredly swallow up that is above it, air and fire, and the angel and his burden without sensing it. When Allah created this serpent, he said to it by inspiration, I will give thee somewhat to keep for me, so open thy mouth. The serpent replied, Do whatso thou wilt, and opened his mouth, and God placed hell into his maw, saying, Keep it until the day of resurrection. When that time comes, the Almighty will send his angels with chains to bring hell and bind it until the day when all men shall meet, and the Lord will order hell to go open its gates, and there will issue therefrom sparks bigger than the mountains. When Bulukiya heard these things, he wept with sore weeping, and, taking leave of the angel, fared on westwards, till he came in sight of two creatures sitting before a great shut gate. As he drew near, he saw that one of the gatekeepers had the semblance of a lion, and the other that of the bull. So he saluted them, and they returned his salam, and inquired who and whence he was bound. Quoth he, I am of the sons of Adam, a wanderer for the love of Mohammed, whom Allah assain and save, and I have strayed from my way. Then he asked them what they were and what was the gate before which they sat. And they answered, We are the guardians of this gate, thou seest, and we have no other business than praise and hallowing of Allah and the invocation of blessings on Mohammed, whom may he bless and keep. Bulukiya wondered and asked them, What is within the gate? And they answered, We wot not. Then quoth he, I conjure you by the truth of your glorious Lord, open to me the gate, that I may see that which is therein. Quoth they, We cannot, and none may open this gate of all created beings, save Gabriel the faithful one, with whom be peace. Then Bulukiya lifted up his voice in supplication to Allah, saying, O Lord, send me thy messenger Gabriel the faithful one, to open for me this gate, that I may see what be therein. And the Almighty gave ear unto his prayer, and commanded the archangel to descend to earth and open to him the gate of the meeting place of the two seas. So Gabriel descended, and saluting Bulukiya, opened the gate to him, saying, Enter this door, for Allah commandeth me to open it for thee. So he entered, and Gabriel locked the gate behind him and flew back to heaven. When Bulukiya found himself within the gate, he looked and beheld a vast ocean, half salt and half fresh, bounded on every side by mountain ranges of red ruby, whereon he saw angels singing the praises of the Lord and hallowing him. So he went up to them and saluted them, and having received a return of his salam, questioned them of the sea and the mountains. Replied they, This place is situated under the arsh or empyreal heaven, and this ocean causeth the flux and flow of all the seas of the world, and we are appointed to distribute them and drive them to the various parts of the earth, the salt to the salt, and the fresh to the fresh. And this is our employ until the day of doom. As for the mountain ranges, they serve to limit and to contain the waters. But thou, whence comest thou? And whither art thou bound? So he told them his story and asked them of the road. They bade him traverse the surface of the ocean which lay before him. So he anointed his feet with the juice of the herb he had with him, and taking leave of the angels, set out upon the face of the sea, and sped on over the water nights and days. And as he was faring, behold, he met a handsome youth journeying along like himself, whereupon he greeted him, and he returned his greeting. After they parted, he espied 4 great angels wayfaring over the face of the sea, and their going was like the blinding lightning. So he stationed himself on their road, and when they came up to him, he saluted them and said to them, I ask you, by the Almighty, the Glorious, to tell me your names, and whither are ye bound? Replied the first angel, my name is Gabriel, and these my companions are called Israfil and Mikael and Azrael. There hath appeared in the east a mighty dragon, which hath laid waste 1,000 cities and devoured their inhabitants. Wherefore Allah Almighty hath commanded us to go to him and seize him and cast him into Jahannam. Bulukiya marvelled at the vastness of their stature and fared on, as before, days and nights, till he came to an island where he landed and walked about for a while. And Scheherazade perceived the dawn of day and ceased to say her permitted say. Now, when it was the 498th night, she said, it hath reached me, O auspicious king, that Bulukiya landed on the island and walked about for a while, till he saw a comely young man with light shining from his visage, sitting weeping and lamenting between 2 built tombs. So he saluted him, and he returned his salutation, and Bulukiya said to him, who art thou? And what are these 2 built tombs between which thou sittest? And wherefore this wailing? He looked at him and wept with sore weeping, till he drenched his clothes with tears, and then said, know thou, O my brother, mine is a marvellous story and wondrous, but I would have thee sit by me and first tell me thy name and thine adventures, and who thou art, and what brought thee hither, after which I will tell thee in return and relate to thee my history. So Bulukiya sat down by him and related to him all that had befallen him from his father's death, adding, such is my history, the whole of it, and Allah alone knoweth what will happen to me after this. When the youth heard his story, he sighed and said, oh, thou unhappy! How few things thou hast seen in thy life compared with mine. Know, O Bulukiya, that unlike thyself I have looked upon our Lord Solomon in his life and have seen things past count or reckoning. Indeed, my story is strange and my case out of range, and I would have thee abide with me till I tell thee my history and acquaint thee how I came to be sitting here. Hearing this much, Hasib again interrupted the Queen of the Serpents and said to her, Allah upon thee, O Queen, release me and command one of thy servants, carry me forth to the surface of the earth, and I will swear an oath to thee that I will never enter the hammam bath as long as I live. But she said, this is a thing which may not be, nor will I never believe thee upon thine oath. When he heard this, he wept, and all the serpents wept on his account, and took to interceding for him with their queen, saying, we beseech thee, bid one of us carry him forth to the surface of the earth, and he will swear thee an oath never to enter the bath his life long. Now, when Yamlaka, for such was the queen's name, heard their appeal, she turned to Hasib and made him swear to her an oath, after which she bade a serpent carry him forth to the surface of the earth. The serpent made ready, but as she was about to go away with him, he turned to Queen Yamlaka and said, I would fain have thee tell me the history of the youth whom Bulukiya saw sitting between two tombs. So she said, know, O Hasib, that when Bulukiya sat down by the youth and told him his tale from first to last, in order that the other might also recount his adventures and explain the cause of his sitting between the two tombs, and Shahrazad perceived the dawn of day and ceased saying her permitted say. Now, when it was the 499th night, she said, it hath reached me, O auspicious king, that the queen continued. When Bulukiya ended his recount, the youth said, how few things of marvel thou hast seen in thy life, O unhappy! Now I have looked upon our Lord Solomon while he was yet living, and I have witnessed wonders beyond compt and conception. And he began to relate the story of Jan Shah. Know, O my brother, that my sire was a king called Tehmus, who reigned over the land of Kabul and the Banu Shalan, 10,000 warlike chiefs, each ruling over 100 walled cities and 100 citadels. And he was suzerain also over 7 vassal princes, and tribute was brought to him from the broad lands between east and west. He was just and equitable in his rule, and Allah Almighty had given him all this and had bestowed on him such mighty empire. Yet had he not vouchsafed him a son, though this was his dearest wish, to inherit the kingdom after his decease. So, one day, it befell that he summoned the ulema and astrologers, the mathematicians and the almanac makers, and said, draw me my horoscope and look if Allah will grant me a son to succeed me." Accordingly, they consulted their books and calculated his dominant star and the aspects thereof, after which they said to him, "Know, O king, that thou shalt be blessed with a son, but by none other than the daughter of King of Khorasan." Hearing this, Tehmus, joyed with exceeding joy, and bestowing on the astrologers and wizards treasure beyond numbering or reckoning, dismissed them. His chief wazir was a renowned warrior by name of Ain-Zar, who was equal to 1,000 cavaliers in battle. So he summoned him, and repeating to him what the astrologers had predicted, he said, "O Wazir, it is my will that thou equip thee for a march to Khorasan and demand from me the hand of King Barwan's daughter." Receiving these orders, the Wazir at once proceeded to get ready for the journey and encamped without the town with his troops and braves and retinue, whilst King Tehmus made ready as presents for the king of Khorasan 1,500 loads of silks and precious stones, pearls and rubies and other gems, besides gold and silver. And he also prepared a prodigious quantity of all that goeth to the equipment of a bride. Then, loading them upon camels and mules, delivered them to the Ain-Zar with a letter to the following purport: "After invoking the blessings of heaven, King Tehmus to King Barwan, greeting. Know that we have taken counsel with the astrologers and sages and mathematicians, and they tell us that we shall have boon of a boy child, and that by none other than thy daughter. Wherefore I have dispatched unto thee my Wazir Ain-Zar with great store of bridal gear, and I have appointed him to stand in my stead and to enter into the marriage contract in my name. Furthermore, I desire that of thy favour thou wilt grant him his request without stay or delay. For it is my own and all graciousness thou showest him, and I take for myself, but beware of crossing me in this, for know, O King Barwan, that Allah hath bestowed upon me the kingdom of Kabul, and have given in me dominion over the Banu Shalan, and vouchsafed me a mighty empire. And if I marry thy daughter, we will be, I and thou, as one thing in kingship, and I will send thee every year as much treasure as will suffice thee. And this is my desire of thee." Then King Tehmus sealed the letter with his own ring and gave it to the Wazir, who departed with a great company and journeyed till he drew near the capital of Khorasan. When King Barwan heard of his approach, he dispatched his principal emirs to meet him with a convoy of food and drink and other requisites, including forage for the steeds. So they fared forth with the train till they met the Wazir. Then, alighting without the city, they exchanged salutations and abode there, eating and drinking 10 days, at the end of which they mounted and rode into the town, where they were met by King Barwan, who came out to greet the Wazir of King Tehmus, and alighting, embraced him and carried him to the citadel. Then Ain-Zar brought out the presents and laid them before King Barwan, together with a letter of King Tehmus, which when the king read and understood, he joyed with exceeding joy and welcomed the Wazir, saying, "Rejoice in winning thy wish, and know that if King Tehmus sought of me my life, verily I would give it to him." Then he went in forthright to his daughter and her mother and his kinsfolk, and acquainting with him and his kinsfolk, and acquainting them with the king of Kabul's demand, sought counsel of them. And they said, "Do what seemeth good to thee." And Shahrazad perceived the dawn of day and ceased to say her permitted say. Now, when it was the 500th night. Now, if I was to read just half of this story, then we would be halfway through the book, which is amazing. We started reading this book in March 2020, and we are now in August. We are now towards the end of August in 2021. We are now on the 500th page. So if I were to read half of this story, I would be literally halfway through the book. Ladies and gents, I am going to leave Saman the great honor of reading the 500th page tomorrow. We are working on organizing a celebration, which hopefully this time will not be stopped by Facebook doing funny things with our reading. The last time we did a reading at the Pally Hansen Kempinski, I will not be hindered by yes, I know. Yes, Jared, halfway through already. The 500th night. We have 1001 nights. So we have 501 nights to go after this. And again, so if I read half of this page, half of this night, then I would be literally halfway through the book. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to stop right here and right now and let Saman read the 500th night. So, try and say that one when you're drunk. 500th night. And yeah, so what we're trying to do right now is organize a celebration of us being halfway through the book. It's probably going to take us a month though, so we're probably going to be a few pages on by the time we get that together, because we have both been quite busy over summer doing other things and taking a few holidays here and there as well. So, ladies and gents, what a joy. Isn't that amazing? 500 nights. We have been reading this for March, April, May, June, August. A year. Well, okay. No, well, yeah. A year and 4 months, because we started on March 20th, so it's a year and 4 months. That's pretty amazing, isn't it? And we've only had breaks at Christmas and a couple of weeks here and there over Easter. And Samantha took a break for a while, and then I took a break for a week. So it's been a pretty cool experience. So, ladies and gents, without further ado, I am going to finish this reading for you this evening. I will be back with you on, today's Tuesday, Wednesday. I will be back with you on Thursday, and I'm very, very much looking forward to it. To whatever night, I assume I'll be on the 503rd night or something like that. I wish you all a very, very beautiful evening. Thank you very much for listening in. For those who did so live, for those of you who listen to this later, because I know a lot of you do, it's always a great pleasure. You can see already I am tired today, so my tongue is getting twisted. It is always a huge pleasure reading for you, and I'm looking forward to the next 500 nights. Saman and I have worked out it's going to take us at least until next August, but probably until October, November next year, if we take breaks and so on, to read the rest of the book. We are absolutely intending to do so. We got this far. We are not giving up now. Let us just hope we don't get put through any more lockdowns and so on, and we just managed to get to read this nights as we go along. So a great pleasure reading for you tonight. Without further ado, I'm going to say many, many blessings to all of you. Have a wonderful evening. Enjoy the 500th and the 501st night tomorrow, because then we'll be beyond halfway through the book. You are more than welcome. Thank you very much, Jared, for listening in again and always being a good fan. We love reading for you, as I said. So I'm going to say good night, everybody. Take care of yourselves. And if you want, I will put the poem up again, the beautiful Rumi poems that I read today. And also this very beautiful, I tried actually to find out the translation of the poem by Hafez that Kamyab created his music to, but I couldn't. So I'm going to have to ask Kamyab to send me that music. But it is very, very beautiful. It's really, I could have just actually not read, and we could have just listened to Kamyab playing that music, which he made the music for. But anyway, so I will post that as well. Have a lovely evening. Take care of yourselves. See you on Thursday. Good night, everybody. Good night, Jared. Good night, Dunya. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye. Take care.